So Ed, I just want to point out for the moment, it may be obvious to some people, but not others.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually in Corona Simulator.
Yeah, this is in the Corona Simulator.
Yeah, so this whole thing is built kind of as a desktop app.
Yeah, you could make it as a desktop app, but I would just run it in the simulator, and the reason is it makes it easy to work with then. So because the process is this. Let me clear the board here, and then I'll show you how this works. I always have trouble with that one. Just try it. Never fails when you're trying to demo something. So let's start off with a clear board, and I'll show you why you want to work in the simulator. So here I am in the simulator running the editor, and I want to make a simple level with a starting position and a round platform with a monster on the top and a coin on the bottom. So that's basically what I want. I want the player to start here. He's going to start on a round platform and jump over here to get the coin, and the level is done. So all I got to do at this point is say, show the project sandbox. So I'm running in the simulator. This is why if you run it in the desktop, it's going to make it hard to find the level file that got generated. But it puts the output in the documents folder. So let's just go to the sandbox and locate the documents folder. And it always saves the level in a file called level.txt. Okay, so we got that open. I'm not going to do anything with it. Let me go ahead and go open the game. So I'll open project, and I'll go to the game folder, double-click main, and now I'm running the game. But I want level 1 to be the level that I just edited. So to do that, I go to the project files for the game, which is just like we used to do. I locate the data folder, which is where we used to keep our levels, and I'm going to make a backup of these, so I'll just copy them and paste them. Get rid of both. And I'll drag level text into the data folder, rename it to level 1, and I'll reload the game. So it's a long path, but basically this is what we just edited. The starting point, a round circle with a monster, and a coin. Now I could say, you know what I'd really like is I'd like to put some more coins here. So I'll just go back to the editor, all doing this in the simulator, and I'll put a square block down here and a square block up here, and I'll turn on some coins around this and some, let's turn on some spikes on this one, and just turn on the spikes there, and the coin at the top. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I've already got the folder open. As I've been editing, it's been updating the same file. So I'll just copy it, paste it over into the data folder, delete the old one, rename this to level 1, and then go back in the simulator to the game. And now I've got the new level that I just hand-edited, or not hand-edited, edited with the visual editor. And it looks like the spikes are not working. Wonderful. All right, well, there's always a bug.
Something to figure out.
Yeah, no problem.
I do like, though, that in the editor, you just select... I got a little bit of feedback going on. You just select the item that you want to add elements to, and then you click those elements. So you're not dragging like the left spike over to the platform. You're just selecting the platform, and then you're saying, okay, I want left spikes, I want right spikes, I want top coin. You know, it's all laid out for you already in the editor.
Yeah, as I wrote this, I discovered that every block, every one of these grids, was basically going to have the option to have coins, monsters, decoys, and spikes. So why make it something you drag when you could just make it a toggleable item? I mean, you could literally make a thing with spikes here and not have a block there. It's still legal. So why not?
Like it. Love it.
All right. Do you still have feedback as I talk here? Because I can adjust the volume a little bit.
Not now, no.
Okay.
Very little.
Okay, so that's basically it. So run it in the simulator, open up the documents folder for the editor, and the data folder for the game, and then just edit files, drag and drop them, rename them, and you can quickly create as many levels as you need. You'll still need to go into the common.lua for the game and tell it how many levels you have. I didn't add code to auto-discover that, but I mean it's a pretty easy step to discover how many files exist at the time. And that is it. But I want to show you, basically, give you a quick rundown on. I don't want to even spend the whole show talking about this editor, because I'd rather have people just sort of follow along a little bit here as I show them the parts and then dig through it to understand what's going on. First of all, it's a fairly monolithic piece of code in the sense that the editor is encompassed in one huge file. I still have common.lua for a few settings, but other than that, everything is in editor.lua under the scripts folder. So let me show you exactly where that is. They need to be fed, which is where we started with the name, but of course we're calling it Monsters Need Coins now. You look under the app folder, and then you have the editor and the other three projects that we already had, which was the empty frame, the framed version of the game, and then the game itself, just the flat version. We're talking about the editor, so we go into the editor, and then scripts, and you'll see a file here called editor.lua, and you can just simply open that up. And you will see that it's structured very much like the other modules that we've looked at before. It's got a table at the top called public, which is the module itself. If you go to the bottom of the file, public is returned. And then in main Lua, all we do is we say local editor equals require scripts.editor, and then editor create. And that's it. Just editor create, and it does everything it needs to do to draw the editor. So one thing that I did, which is a little bit different, which follows one of the tips that Sergey gave some time back. Sometimes you find that you want to expose some functions to on your module. So maybe you want your module to have a create and a destroy function that are visible externally when people require the file, and maybe some fields and whatnot. So you would put all those attached to the public table and then return that table. But inside of your file, you may find that you need like a common touch listener or some functions that you want to be visible within the file. And there's two ways to do that. You can forward declare those functions at the top and then define them later and then use them throughout your file. Or you can create another table and attach those private functions to that table. So I'm using the public-private concept here, or nomenclature. Public is the one that we return. Private is another table inside. And then if you see, throughout the code, I have functions and fields that are attached to private that can be used anywhere throughout the file once they've been defined. So the basic layout of this file is public and private tables. Turn on the physics, require the common settings file. Then we have some variables at the top that tell me is saving enabled yet. I have a layer system just like I did in the game where I had an underlay, a content layer, and an overlay for putting things, making sure they're layered on top of each other properly. I have some settings here at the top that tell me how big the grid is and the piece sizes are. I got a table that contains the grid elements, so when I create these grid elements, I store them in this table called grid pieces. And the reason I do that is so that it's easy for me to iterate over them and to change the highlight selection, basically. So every time you click or drag something onto one of these, what I do is I go through and I set them all back to look like this with a red outline. And then the one that you just clicked on or dragged onto, I just change the size of it a little bit and make the outline green, the stroke, so you can see where you've got selected. So it's just a feedback thing.